So everything can be found online, including this race, which we're about to watch. It looks like they are off, so we do have a start here. Looks like a clean start across the board, with some of these crews moving quite well here. It looks like Hamilton in lane 3 trying to make an early statement, just how they're rowing.
Bates at 41, Smith at 43. Hamilton's got a seat or two early. They're at 42 and a half. Wesleyan doing really well also over in lane 4.
Really quite tight between lanes 1 and 4. It looks like Trinity might be hanging back a little bit on the rest of the field at this point.
Well, Hamilton certainly has the lead by as much as maybe a full third of a length over Wesleyan, and then comes Smith and Bates in 4th. Trinity does trail by about another 3/4 of a length.
So once again, top 3 will move on to Grands, and the remaining 2 Petite finals. So it's looking like Hamilton and Wesleyan really want to secure their seats early, and Smith and Bates and Trinity will have to really battle it out amongst each other for that 3rd and final spot into the grand finals this afternoon, as we pass this on to Linda on the water to take you down this middle 1,000.
Move away from the field. The coxswain is looking around. Got to look behind her to see where the other crews are. And it continues to be Hamilton in first place with Wesleyan in second. We're starting to see some comeback from Smith and Bates. And right now, second place is 3 boats across. It is Bates, Smith, and Wesleyan. And they are just side by side by side, with Trinity further back, about a length back. Hamilton continuing to stay strong and out front. They are 1 length ahead, and it gets still 3 boats. 3 boats across for that 2nd and 3rd positions. Only 2 of these boats will advance to the grand final for this afternoon. And now Bates is starting to make a little bit of move. Bates is getting some traction, and Bates are now about a seat ahead of Smith and Wesleyan. Wesleyan still not, and I say that Wesleyan comes back, and it is Bates in second place by less than a foot ahead of Wesleyan, and maybe a yard back to Smith. Hamilton moving away. Hamilton has broken clear of the field. They have open water between them and the closest boat, which would be Bates at this position. And Bates are now in second place with Smith in 3rd place, and Wesleyan has dropped back ever so slightly to 4th place. But at the 1,000-meter mark, it is Hamilton by open water over Bates. Bates in lane 1, still with that nice rowing that we've seen in their upper boats. Smith in second place and Wesleyan in 4th. And now Bates is starting to make a charge. Bates is moving into Hamilton. There is no longer open water. I see the Hamilton coxswain looking over, and they can see that Bates is moving back and bringing Smith with them. But it is still going to be 3 boats. Hopefully Hamilton has not spent too much energy getting that early lead and will be able to stay ahead of Wesleyan. But Wesleyan is very game. They are staying in it, trying to come back on terms. Wesleyan is in 4th place, half a length back on Smith. Smith is about a 1/4 of a length down on Bates, and Bates is still half a length down on Hamilton. Trinity is further back, about 3 lengths open water back into 5th position, and is likely to move on to the Petite final. Right now, it looks like Hamilton is in the 1st position, but Bates is still coming back, and now Hamilton has had their lead reduced from open water to about half a boat length with about 650 meters to go. And as we approach the final quarter, it is Hamilton, Bates, Smith, and Wesleyan vying for those top three spots to move on to the grand final. And we'll turn it over to the finish tower for the final 500 meters.
This has been Hamilton leading the race from the beginning from lane 3. We've seen a lot of lane 1 leaders. They're the higher seated crews in these races. But Hamilton doing a job, and they are still holding on to their first place margin. They're in the last 500 meters now, and the 5 crews with 3 going on to the grand final, women's 3v8. Closest to shore is Bates. Then you have Smith, yellow blades, dark jerseys, dark boat. Hamilton, white blades in lane 3, leading. Wesleyan in black out in lane 4, and the white shirts way out in lane 5 is Trinity. Bates is making a push. From my vantage point, it looks like they've gotten into second, and they're ahead of Smith. Again, as I was mentioned before, these deep programs, Bates and Bates and Trinity have varsity 8s making the grand final. Hamilton is still holding on to its lead, but Bates is going to make it interesting. Remember, top 3 go on to the grand final. So the third place battle, Smith is holding a little bit of a lead on Wesleyan, and that's the key pivot line because the other boats are going to have a rematch this afternoon. Hamilton holding on to its lead. We are now about less than 20 strokes from the finish. Kind of take a look to see if they're sprinting. Boats have secured their spot in the grand final, may choose not to sprint and just coast it in. Others are practicing the sprint and winding it up. And Bates is pushing. They're taking some seats slowly. It is still a third of the length lead by Hamilton. Smith really pushing. The whole pack is tightened up on Hamilton. And Bates is making a run to try to win this race. But I don't think Wesleyan's going to get into the top 3. Hamilton this is all unofficial from my view, but it looks like Hamilton on the line first, Bates in second, Smith in third, and just like that, here comes Wesleyan in 4th. Trinity in the white shirts out in lane 5, they'll bring in at 5th place. A good tight battle, but we have Bates, Smith, and Hamilton going on to the grand final. Wesleyan and Trinity into the petite final this afternoon. That's women's 3v8s. We move on now for our final event of the morning, the men's 4s, and they are at the starting line.